And we also have got to remember that his kennel manager at that time was Tom Horner.
I njegov glavni odgajivač u to vreme je bio Tom Horner,
who was the keeper of the white stud book.
Koji je imao belu rastavnu knjigu.
In the meeting at the Bulterijer Club, his demands were met, and the breed started to use coloured dogs.
Na sastanku Kinološkog saveza njegovi zahtjevi su usvojeni i od tada se u paranju koriste i psi.
We have in England a very important Bulterijer show called the Bulterijer Trophy Show.
Imamo liniju u Engleskoj koja se zove Bulterijer Trophy.
And one of the most important trophies is the Regent Trophy.
Jedan od najbitnijih trofeja je regionalni trofej. Did you say region? Region. Region.
Su nagrade koje se dodeljuju.
Aha, izvinjavam se.
Koji su ustanovljeni, znači trophy show event. Ok, ajde.
Ustanovljene, da, ja sam rekla liniju, izvinjavam se, ustanovljene nagrade. Što se tiče trofejne nagrade.
And this Regent Trophy was donated to the Bulterijer Club by a guy called Dr. Jeffrey Weavers.
I ovaj regionalni trofej bio je dat Bulterijer klubu od strane čovjeka koji se zvao Jeffrey Weavers.
He had a bitch, white bitch, with a black eye patch.
Imao je kuju sa crnim monoknom.
And the bitch's name was Rasa Avis.
I njeno ime je bilo...
And to vets who read Latin, they will know exactly what Rasa Avis means.
Njeno ime je bilo Rasa Avis i onima koji su čitali latinski znali su što to ime znači.
The man I was talking about earlier was the great Raymond Oppenheimer of the Ormonde Kennels.
Čovjek o kom sam govorio je...
Raymond Oppenheimer.
Bio je Raymond Oppenheimer.
He asked Dr. Weavers, this bitch has been mated or is a production of a white and a coloured animal. And this was before the change, when the white stud book was kept.
I on je rekao Weaveru da je ona nastala parenjem belog i psa druge boje, a to je bilo pre, to jest još uvijek dok su se parili samo beli sa belim psima.
Because Raymond Oppenheimer knew that Jeffrey Weavers was a doctor, he knew he could read and write Latin.
I pošto je Oppenheimer znao da je Weavers bio lekar, znao je da on također zna i da čita i piše latinski.
And Rasa Avis means the rare bird.
I Rasa Avis u stvari znači retka ptica.
So from that, the great man himself took over Bulteriers.
I od tada je taj veliki čovjek preuzeo bulterijere.
The Bulterier world was in a very advantageous position because he was a multi-millionaire.
I to je dovelo svijet bulterijera u poziciju koja je imala veoma veliku prednost, pošto je čovjek bio multimilioner.
But it was nothing to do with his money, the talent that he had as a bull terrier breeder.
Ali nije u pitanju njegov novac, već talent koji on imao kao odgajivač bulterija.
And from that Ormonde kennel came all the great champions of that era.
I iz te odgajivačnice došli su svi veliki šampioni tog perioda.
Which then changed the whole shape of the head of a bull terrier.
Što je tada i promenilo, totalno promenilo kompletan oblik glave bulterijera.
Today, we should be thankful to the Ormonde kennels for the time, the money, and the great dogs that were produced by that kennel. Remembering that every single litter of puppies that were born by an Ormonde superlative dog, he's seen every single litter.
I zbog toga treba da budemo zahvalni organi odgajivačnici na uloženom vremenu i novcu i psima koje je proizvela.
From one end of Great Britain to the other end.
Od jednog do drugog kraja Velike Britanije ta odgajivačnica je pratila svako leglo.
So again I say we must be thankful to this man for changing the whole outlook of the bulterijer.
I još jednom ponavljam da treba budemo zahvalni tom čoveku što je promenio kompletan izgled bulterijera.
As in the past in many breeds, there's problems in bulteriers. As in the past, there's problems in bulteriers even today.
Pošto su još u prošlosti postojali razni problemi sa bulterijerima koji neki traju i dan danas.
I won't go into the problems, but I think any bulterier people that are here, I'm sure they're well enlightened to what they are.
Neću ulaziti u to, ali mislim da mnogi ljudi koji se ovdje bave bulterijerima znaju nešto.
But at the end of the day, there are far, far better dogs than what they were 50 years ago.
Ali sada su to mnogo, mnogo bolji psi nego što su bili pre 50 godina.
It's hard to go into talking about miniature bulteriers.
Veoma je teško ući u priču o minijaturnim bulterijerima.
Because the only difference is the miniature bulterier is 14 inches.
Jer jedina razlika je u tome što je minijaturni bulterijer do 14 inča. Znači u veličini.
In other words, it's a bulterier in miniature.
Drugim rečima, to je u stvari minijaturni, bulterijer u minijaturi.
At the moment, we have an interbreeding program going on between miniatures and standards.
Trenutno postoji program uparivanja minijaturnih i standardnih bulterijera.
The improvement that's been made by introducing the standard is tremendous.
Poboljšanje koje je napravljeno uspostavljajući ovaj standard je ogromno.
From the little small dogs that we had 20 years ago with bow legs, there's very, very few of them now.
Od veoma malih pasa koje smo nekada imali sa širokim stavom u prednjim nogama, sada je toga ostalo veoma malo.
Popping eyes and bad top lines.
Sa izbačenim očima, sa nedobro usađenim očima i lošim vremenom.
I think now we should talk about, and this may be a bit controversial, we may talk now about American Staffordshire Terriers.
Sada bismo trebali da pričamo o američkim stafordskim terijerima.
First of all, let me say, I have never owned an American Staffordshire Terrier.
Prvo bih da kažem da ja nikada nisam imao američkog stafordskog terijera.
But that doesn't mean to say that I don't know about them.
Ali to ne znači da ne znam mnogo o njima.
I've probably studied them more
Više sam ih izučavao nego druge.
than 90% of all-rounders have.
I čak više od 90% drugih sudija koji...
Because they're part of the same family as I've been involved with.
Zato što sam se bavio sličnim rasama, istom porodicom pasa.
I lived in America for 3 years
Živeo sam 3 godine u Americi
and I worked as a handler.
I radio kao handler.
So I was associating quite often with some of the top dogs at that time in the world.
I bio sam u kontaktu sa nekim od najboljih pasa tog vremena na svijetu.
I spoke in many occasions because professional handlers traveled on what's called the circuit, from one side of America to the top end, across, down, back. So it took a year for us to travel right the whole country.
I pošto profesionalni hendleri putuju, kako se tamo kaže, u krug, znači u krug po Americi, trebalo mi je godinu dana da obiđem taj krug.
Head-wise, I said there's a similarity between the Staffordshire Bull Terrier and the American Staffordshire Terrier.
Što se tiče glave, rekao bih da postoji velika sličnost između stafordskog Bull Terrijera i američkog stafordskog terijera.
But there is also very strong differences.
Ali također postoje veoma snažno izražene, jako izražene razlike.
In the following under the eye,
u predelu ispod očiju,
in the heavier jowl, which is it what's?
U jačoj izraženoj vilici.
But basically, the head, there isn't a great lot of difference other than that in the heads. The eye shape is the same, the ear shape is the same, the mouth's the same, the underjaw is the same, the foreface is basically the same. Probably the American Staffordshire Terrier is more typier overall than what the Staffordshire Bull Terrier is as far as head's concerned.
Što se tiče glave, u suštini osim toga nema nekih bitnih razlika. Slične su im oči, uši, generalno oblik glave.
The length of the body is different.
Dužina tela je...
The height of the leg is different.
Dužina nogu je različita.
The strength of the muscle between the forehand and the shoulder blade is different.
Jačina mišića između prednjeg dela grudnog koša i lopatica je različita.
But what we've got to look at in a Staffordshire Bull Terrier as well as an American Staffordshire Terrier is remember that both of them descended from fighting dogs.
Ali kada gledamo obe ove rase, treba se setiti da obe potiču od borbenog psa.
So when we're looking at the rib cage, we should look at a dog that's got a springer rib.
Kada im posmatramo grudni koš, treba da gledamo...
Springer rib, look at the rib.
Treba uopšte da gledamo kako su zasluđena rebra.
And the reason for this is the fighting dog needed heart room. Needed plenty of room in its chest for the heart.
I to je iz razloga što je borbenim psima trebalo puno prostora za srce.
The fronts are basically the same.
Prednje strane su
There should be good depth, and a good fill, and good width, but balanced.
Treba da budu dobro balansirani sa dubokim grudima i širokim grudima.
The shape of the leg should be similar.
Oblik nogu treba da bude sličan.
And the feet slightly different.
Šape nešto različite.
The hind movement, the dog is obviously higher and it's longer.
Pas je očigledno viši nego što je dugačak.
And I think this is probably one of the reasons why, because of the length of the leg, that the American Staffordshire Bull Terrier is such a good mover.
I smatram da je vjerojatno razlog što se američki stafordski terijer tako dobro kreće u stvari dužina nogu.
The colors are not that much different.
Čak se i boje ne razlikuju tako mnogo.
There's more blues in American Staffords than there is in Staffordshire Bull Terriers. Blues?
Dakle, ima više plavih kod...
There's more blues in American Staffords than there is in Staffordshire Bull Terriers.
Ima više plavih kod američkog Stafforda nego kod staffordskog Bull Terriera.
Who are true blues.
Pravi, istinski, prirodni plavi.
In Staffordshire Bull Terriers, I think in the whole world I've seen maybe 4 really true blue Staffordshire Bull Terriers. Most of them are blue brindles.
I što se tiče Staffordskog terijera, mislim da sam u životu video zaista takve plave, možda 3-4 komada, ostali su polu-tigrasti, plavo-tigrasti.
People get the impression that certain breeds were used within both these breeds for the blue to appear as a rubbish.
Ljudi smatraju da su određene druge vrste korišćene kod obe ove vrste da bi se ta plava pojavila, ali to je glupost.
Blue basically comes with such a thing as the brindle factor, and that's in bulteriers, it's in stafordski bulteriers and in Amsterdams.
To uglavnom potiče kod svih ovih vrsta od tog faktora tigraste boje stvari, ne od druge rase.
Normally speaking, in a blue dog, the texture of the hair is different from even a litter brother.
Što se tiče plavog psa, tekstura dlake se razlikuje od ostalih pasa.
But again, I reiterate what I said. At the moment, American Staffordshire Terriers the world over are the best terriers in depth.
Ali što se tiče američkih stafordskih terijera, oni su širom sveta najbolji terijeri.
And what we're going to do now is not a question and answer time because it's too early, but we'll talk about breeding. And it doesn't matter which breed you go on. Breeding is basically the same in every breed. Not the same dogs, obviously, but the program.
Pričat ćemo sada o programu odgajanja, a odgajanje je u suštini isto kod svake vrste. Bitan je način odgajanja svake vrste.
And we have always used, over all the years that we've produced all the champions and winners, I have used a program as what I term as using or having an anchor dog.
Ono što sam ja koristio tokom svih ovih godina odgajanja svih tih šampiona jeste ono što ja zovem pas sidro. To bi bilo česki bilo?
Osnova uzgoja. Pas koji se koristi kao osnov.
Pas koji je u stvari osnov, jedan pas od kog sve potiče, koji se...
Da, ili temelj.
Osnov
temelj uzgoja.
An anchor dog doesn't have to be a male, it can be a female.
Takav pas ne mora da bude mužijak, može da bude ženka.
Is something wrong?
Je li sve u redu?
Okay.
An anchor dog is so important to every line.
Takav pas je veoma bitan za svaku liniju.
That's why I started and told you about the situation of the champion whippet who was a nothing bred dog.
Zbog toga sam i pričao situaciju o mom psu koji nije imao nikakve pedigre i zato je bio nikakav pas.
We have drawn a situation here on the blackboard as to how and where to use this anchor dog. It doesn't matter, as we can see here, it doesn't matter where the anchor dog is.
Zbog toga smo nacrtali ovde da vidite gde može da se koristi takav jedan pas. Nije toliko bitno da je baš na datom mestu.
This anchor dog could be either a female, a male, or a female, and it could be in either side. It doesn't have to be in the one side. All the better if you have two anchor dogs. That's even stronger. I'm a great believer in inbreeding. Doesn't matter what anyone says, I can prove categorically that I've produced champion after champion from an inbreeding program.
Da, nije bitno da li je taj pas mužik ili ženka, nije bitno sa koje strane dolazi, čak je mnogo bolje ukoliko imate dva takva psa i moje iskustvo u proizvodnji šampiona može samo da potvrdi kvalitet ovakvog programa odgoja.
Samo, ja se izvinjam. Čovjek hoće da kaže da je veliki zastupnik inbrida uzgoja u srodstvu. Da, može se reći incest, ali incest je kod ljudi. Ukrštanje u srodstvu, on je veliki zastupnik u ukrštanju u srodstvu i smatram da se najbolji psi dobiju ukrštanjem u srodstvu. Nisu svi za to, on je za to.
The inbred dog is a very prepotent dog, normally.
Is a very what?
Prepotent, very good at sight.
Veoma je prepotent. Da, tako proizveden pas je veoma proporcionalan pas.
But it's most important that there must be a good bitch line. Most important.
Ali veoma je bitno da kuja ima dobru krvu.
Even if the bitch line is inbred,
Čak i ako je proizvedena incestom.
long as it's a good one and it's come from a very strong, good producing line.
Bitno je da je dobra i da dolazi iz linije koja proizvodi dobre pse.
What we have drawn here is a situation where this mark here is the anchor dog.
U engleskom jeziku oni tako psa koji je temelj, oni zovu pas sidro, zbog toga je ovdje nacrtano sidro.
It doesn't matter, as I said, whether it's a dog or a bitch, whether it's a male or a female.
Kao što sam rekao, opet ponavljam, nije bitno da li je mužjak ili je ženka.
It doesn't have to be a great example of its breed,
Ne mora da bude sjajan primjerak svoje vrste,
but it has to be properly bred.
ali mora da bude dobro odvojen, da ima dobar pedigree.
It's not a program that I would suggest to the novice to go down. It's not a program that I would suggest that a novice beard does.
We don't understand your Scottish English.
What did you speak English?
Try British.
Yeah. So
It's not a program that I would suggest for a novice to go down.
This is very...
You've got to be very careful if you use this program.
morate budete veoma pažljivi kad koristite ovaj program.
But it can make short roads for you.
Jer može da vam
Cut
napravi
out
razne...
years of exasperation.
Može da vam napravi prepreke i može da donese iscrpljujuće godine.
Čovjek hoće da kaže sledeće. On preporučuje uzgoj u srodstvu, ali treba biti pažljiv prilikom korišćenja uzgoja u srodstvu. Uzgoj u srodstvu može dovesti do prečica. Da vi na brzinu, to vi svi kao odgajivači znate, da na brzinu korišćenjem uzgoja u srodstvu, što nije uvek incest. Incest je u najužem srodstvu, može biti u širem srodstvu. Vi dobijete na brzinu dobrog psa, a u stvari taj pas nije dovoljno dobre, duge krvne linije. Znači, uzgoj u srodstvu kojim je dobijen dobar pas ne može zameniti dugogodišnji temeljan uzgoj. Znači, hoće da kaže da ne koristite uzgoj u srodstvu kao prečicu do dobijanja šampiona, a da iza toga nema dovoljno dugu, dobru krvnu liniju.
And most of the great champions that have been producers,
I mnogi veliki šampioni koji su bili nastavnici
have come from either inbred animals or very strong line-bred animals.
Ili su došli su ili od linije proizvedene incestom ili od veoma jake linijskog uzgoja.
The possibility of producing, well, I explain even more simple to you. Long time ago, 35 years ago, I started a program of inbreeding. I inbred 6 generations, brother, sister.
Pre nekih 35 godina počeo sam ovakav inbreed program i proizveo sam 6 generacija od pasa koji su bili brati sestri.
But these were from absolutely super animals.
Ali to su sve bile apsolutno sjajni životinje.
And 25 years after that program had finished, because I had gone to America, stopped the program and gone to America to work.
I nakon 25 godina sam prekinuo taj program, pošto sam otišao u Ameriku da radim.
When I came back to the UK and I looked at the dogs in the ring, I could point that's my breeding, that's my breeding, that's my breeding, that's my breeding.
I kada sam se vratio u Britaniju i kada sam bio u prilici pogledam se u ringu, mogao sam prstom da pokažem koji pas, koje je, kod kog psa je, koji je pas, koji je ja iz njeg gajao sad.
And this was something that every single dog man, and I was only a young man then, every single dog man told me, no, Danny. They'll be crazy, they'll lack bone, they'll lack substance. My answer to that was, you can only bring to the surface what is already there. So if there was madness in the line, if there was lack of bone in the line, then all I did was brought it to the surface quicker.
Dakle, mnogi su mi u to vreme, kada sam s tim počeo, govorili da će ti psi imati mane, da će biti ludi psi, da će biti slabih kostiju. Ja sam samo rekao da, u stvari, takvim uzgajanjem izbija na površinu ono što je već u psu. Ukoliko postoje mane, one će izbiti na površinu.
But that was, I admit, there was in the litters monstrosities.
I priznajem da je među štencima bilo monstruoznih primjeraka.
But the good ones were the ones that we kept and the ones we bred from.
Ali oni koji su bili dobri su bili ti od kojih je trebalo nastaviti uzgoj.
The rest of the litters, I had a very good vet.
Za ostatak legla imao sam veoma dobrog veterinara da se pobrine za to.
But it was a program that I proved that it could work.
Ali je to program za koji sam ja dokazao da može dobro da radi.
But I say again to you, do not go down that way if you don't know what you're doing.
Ali opet vam kažem, nemojte krenuti tim putem ako ne znate šta radite.
You have got to consult everyone who has produced in the past these lines that you're using.
Morate se konsultovati sa apsolutno svima koji su ikada na ovaj način proizvodili tu vrstu psa koju vi odgajate.
I would never go against their advice.
Ja nikada ne bih postupio suprotno od saveta takvih ljudi.
Every one of them told me where the good parts of the dogs were.
Svaki od takvih ljudi koje sam ja pitao mi je rekao koje su to dobre putanje koje treba koristiti za takvo ukrštanje.
So I looked very carefully at the litters, chose the two best ones, and then showed these two best ones to my personal, quiet, reserved friends, not everyone.
Onda sam iz svakog legla odvajao dva najbolja šteneta i pokazivao ih svojim dobrim prijateljima koji su u tom poslu, ne svima.
Most of the people who were close to me
mnogi ljudi koji su mi bili bliski
were zips on their mouths.
Su uglavnom ostajali bez teksta.
So when these dogs continuously producing, they could look at each litter along with me. Each of these litters, my friends, my close friends and I looked at the puppies.
Moji bliski prijatelji i ja smo gledali u štence, dobro posmatrali štence iz svakog legla.
And I decided at the end of the day, because they were my litter, which ones I was keeping.
I na kraju dana bih ja onda odlučio koje da zadržim.
Let me emphasize again to you, do not go down that line if you do not have close friends that you can confide in and keep the secret.
Ali opet vam savjetujem, nemojte ići tim putem ukoliko nemate dobre prijatelje kojima možete se poveriti i koji znaju da čuvaju tajnu.
At the moment, the English Kennel Club is emphasizing outcrossing everything. No strong line breeding, and certainly no inbreeding. No father-daughter, no brother-sister, no mother-son, none of that. You can't get them registered at the English Kennel Club now if they've done that program. I think it's stupid.
Dakle, on smatra da je glupo to što Britanski kinološki savez ne dozvoljava registraciju pasa koji su proizvedeni incestom u bilo kojoj varijanti.